Test.
Okay. Can you put it on the screen? Put page 18 if you can. Okay. Well, good morning. Let's see. I'm Alex Pouchot. I review the consent calendar for you on the this one right here, right? Item C1. Workshop. Yeah. Workshop. Right. And we saw it many times.
Yes.
And is that picture? And he's trying to get the image. C1, right? Page. Okay, so yeah, so is that page 18, please?
For 4838 Winding Way.
Correct. Yes.
This is page 8, actually.
8, the one with the elevations and the one with the elevations and the colors.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm just not seeing page 18. Was that from the previous submittal?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there's a new submittal.
Alex, I'm only seeing 10 pages in this set.
Oh. All right. Is there a page with the elevations and the colors? That's what I'm interested in. Okay, there you go. Okay, yeah,
There we go.
that's the one. Thank you. Just got this question. Is that the green color? Is that the existing color of the house?
Yes, it looks.
On your,
Yes, it is the color. It's a little more subdued than that.
see,
And then that middle color, it was not supposed to be in there. So we were going to go to the green and the gray for the garage.
the green
And
is.
the green is like we have done 3 or 4 a house around the house,
Speak on the microphone.
but we haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
So we're going to go again. It's a little more subdued than that.
And
it's green on the bottom of the garage and then the gray on the top.
Great. Thank you. I think there might be some questions on the landscape. Hold on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I had some concerns about the color, but the applicant says that the green is going to be more subdued than what is shown there. So I will ask to supply a new color chip to the staff for approval. Okay.
Sorry, if the real name's on there, we might be able to find a better photo or picture online if the actual spec is on there.
Well, that was the one I saw was bright.
Benjamin Moore, Potpourri Green.
If we
So the color, the one in the middle, the white it's not going to be there, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it's going to be the green and the
gray.
The gray. It seems like the gray could be a little bit darker and the green could be a little bit more with less color, I guess. But I look at the details and everything else, and architecturally it is complete. How about the landscape?
Yeah, can you tell us, did you respond to the comment here that was to restudy plant options for screening that can be narrow and reach between 12 to 15 feet, such as podocarpus?
We opted out of the podocarpus and a scrub oak. We're going to put in a scrub oak.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand what you.
I believe Mark, the architect, put a plan in for a scrub oak instead of the portocarpus. The portocarpus falls, so many leaves fall. I have it on the other side of my property. If you demand it, I'll put one up, but I would like something that doesn't shed so much.
And then what about the comment here, restudy upper portion of eyebrow trellis could be
Yes,
longer and more.
we agreed with what you wanted.
Okay, so you guys adjusted it.
Yes, so Mark put in, he's sick today, so he put in the scrub oak and redid the assessment on the trellis.
I mean, it seems approvable to me if you're okay with it, Alex.
Are we okay with the landscaping?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. They got 2 oak trees in there for screening. And
Okay.
I was just trying to find the detail for
Mhm.
the eyebrow trellis.
Oh, it is there. It's in the
You saw it, so you.
yeah. No, the trellis is fine. It extends 3 feet. It's fine. So
I think we should move it forward, then we'll make a motion to approve it.
yes, right, and we'll ask for a submittal of the real colors to the planner. Okay. All right. Very good. That concludes the consent calendar.
On the 4th page, you can see the actual green color on the house. So if I'm looking at the same thing. Oh yeah, there, the lower right. That's the color of the house. That green.
Yeah, that's the green. It's
Okay.
more subdued.
So I think we need to remove the white and make a darker wood color, right?
I mean, they're trying to match the existing color.
Yeah.
They're trying to match the existing color
Yeah.
of the home. So
Right. Okay.
it's reasonable to me.
So are you going to okay with it now?
Yeah, so
We'll pass.
when we go to the full meeting, we'll make a motion to approve your item here. So you'll be able to proceed.
Okay. Do I need to stay for that?
Oh, I think you've answered all the questions and.
Thank you. Oh, did you have a question?
Yeah, and that concludes the consent calendar.
Loud noise.
We need her. Do we need her for?
I mean, we have quorum. I
Yeah.
just wasn't sure if Val's coming. All right, we will begin the SBAR hearing of December 5th, 2025, and we'll start with any public comment not pertaining to today's agenda.
Madam Chair, we have received no letters and we have one person in the attendees column. If anybody would like to make a public comment not on today's agenda, please raise your hand online. Okay, seeing none.
Okay, move on, close public comment. We'll move on to the agenda status report.
Nothing's update for the agenda status report.
Okay. And then we'll review the minutes from November 7th and the 21st. We already reviewed both. No, we already reviewed the 7th, so we just need to make a motion for those. We just didn't have a quorum.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the 7th.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we should confirm if there were any abstentions. Aye, Robert.
Like everybody.
Same. And Amy. We still have a quorum though. Okay, so 2 abstentions. Okay, and reviewing the minutes from the 21st. The only item that had comments is item 2. So anyone have any adjustments or you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 21st.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Others in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think everyone was here. Okay. And we'll move on to SBAR members' informational briefings. Does anybody have anything? I have to recuse from item 4 and 5. Does anyone else need to recuse from any? Okay. Oh, and just, I don't know if this is SBAR members' informational briefing, but we are going, it's going to be agendized for the next meeting, which I will be absent for, but to take a vote on whether we go to monthly meetings. David's done some research in our bylaws and it looks possible if we make it formally approved. And so I've preliminarily marked up a calendar. It would be like the first meeting of the month that we would keep and do away with the second so that we aren't postponing anyone's projects and avoiding holidays. So you guys can vote on that when it's formally agendized next hearing. Okay, then moving on to the staff update. Is there anything, Joe?
Good morning, Madam Chair. No update from me this morning.
Okay, thanks. All right, and we had one consent item.
Yes, the consent item is. Here we go. 4838 Winding Way and there were a few comments. Mainly the issue was the colors. The colors were clarified during the meeting, and they are pretty much acceptable. A new version of the colors will be submitted to the planner for final review, but it's ready to be approved right now. So I make a motion to that event.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Okay. And we'll move on to the first item on today's agenda. Is the applicant here? And yep. Come, and then I'll read the description. All right. Item 1, Whitecaps LLC demolition and new mixed-use development. Request of Ava Turnchuk, agent for the owner, Whitecap Summerland LLC, here for conceptual review of a new mixed-use development consisting of 2 duplexes. Duplex 1 is 1,212 square feet. Duplex 2 is 864 square feet. There's a 216-foot carport, 432 square foot gazebo, 732 square foot net. So for a total of 2,791 square foot gross restaurant consisting of a bar, storage, restroom, service kiosk, and 2 wall-mounted identification signs, covered and uncovered outdoor and covered and uncovered outdoor dining. All existing structures are proposed to be removed. There's currently 1,174 square foot residence and a 711 square foot deck, an unpermitted 1,048 square foot accessory unit / garage conversion, height increase and storage shed. The project will require 610 cubic yards of cut and 105 fill, with 500 and 500 cubic yards of overX. The property is on a 0.33 acre parcel located at 120 Hollister Street in the Summerlin Community Plan area. You can go ahead and give us your names and give us your presentation.
I'm Eva Turnchock, the land use consultant for the project.
Dawn Sherry with Sherry and Associates Architects.
So I'm just here if you have any land use questions as we go through it, but I'll let Dawn present the project.
All right. So I'd like to start with the photos. I'm sure you are all aware of this site. This is on the corner of Hollister Street and Lily in Summerlin. It's a very prominent corner. It's a steep site. It also has street frontage on Varley up above and parallel to Lily Avenue. And maybe start in the upper left-hand corner. That's that photograph is the middle driveway currently. And then upper right is the corner, the very corner. As you go down, you can see the various street frontages. That lower right is the street frontage on Lily right now. And so I don't need to spend any more time on that, right? You guys all know the site. So let's go to the site plan. As the project description mentioned, we're going to be demolishing the existing structures on site. And this is a really unique, highly constrained site. So what we were looking for and what the owner, Michael Haber, was looking for when he bought the property is developing it in a sensitive way that would where it could actually be developed with appropriate mass and scale that would blend in with the existing Summerlin massing and scale, and nothing overpowering. There was a previous development approved on the site that I think was a 3-story total, but it kind of stepped up the hill and it was much larger. And Michael Haber wanted to develop it as mixed use with a small restaurant on Lily Avenue that blends in with the rest of the Lily Avenue commercial development. And then on the upper side, which is off of the parking would be off of Hollister. And then the larger building that you see on the upper side, the north side, that's the 2 duplexes. And then in the middle, to the east of the proposed parking is a gazebo. And so let's go to the site section, or just keep going, scrolling down, and you'll see, we'll get back to that. Maybe, okay, we can do this. This is the elevation off of Varley. This is the duplex elevation.
You might have to download.
I know, it's like, I don't know why. I think it's because we're scrolling fast and it's a big file. It's a 1-story off of Varley.
We'll just wait a second for it to open.
Okay. If in doubt, reboot. There we go. So you can see it's a 1-story off of Varley. The entrances to the duplexes are in an interior courtyard that's kind of accessed off of Hollister Street with a pedestrian walkway. And then let's keep scrolling down. I was looking for the site. This helps. So this is the east elevation that shows the topography. And then that you can see that the commercial development is on the lower left-hand corner. That's a small restaurant, Whitecaps. The middle building is the backside of the gazebo, and the upper building is the duplex. So next page, please. This is the south elevation. Looking at the upper drawing is the south elevation. You can see the bar for the seating at the bar for the commercial development, and then the upper two duplexes that kind of step up the hill. It's kind of a foreshortened view of the entire site with all the elevations shown on it. And then the lower drawing is the courtyard entrances to the duplex that are in the middle of the property, in between, the two duplexes. That's the courtyard entrance to the Varley Street duplex. Next page. This is the west elevation. As it steps down the hill, you can see the driveway going to the middle. It's the middle duplex is a one-story over covered parking. And let's go to the renderings because they're, I think, keep going down. Those are site sections, but I think this gives you a good idea of the, it's a big file. Yeah, this gives you a good idea of just a wireframe rendering of all the different levels. The upper left is the street frontage at Lilly and Hollister. And the upper right is the view from Hollister itself. The lower left is the upper east elevation of the upper duplex looking down toward the ocean. And then the lower right is the view from up above Lilly Avenue. Next page. These are some renderings. If you can zoom in, it might be easier to see them, but this is the view. This is what you would see from Lilly Avenue, the commercial development. And I might point out that the site plan shows, in place of the trailer, it shows a smaller commercial building that is of the same kind of nature in scale, but originally the concept of the project was for this to be a food truck. And we've, Environmental Health Department approved the food truck, and now we're in a little bit of a quandary with planning, who says that the food truck is perhaps not allowed. So now we are switching gears potentially to, instead of that food truck, we did the rendering when the food truck was part of the concept. And we may have to pivot to that just being a simple gable building, and one kind of long building in the front where you order food and then the food is cooked and then it comes out. Still dining in the front, but that's why this drawing shows the trailer in the front, the food truck. And that's the bar at the front where people can just walk up and have a drink. There's a little kiosk for merchandise on the east elevation, and then you can see the duplex, the middle portion of the duplex beyond. Next page. And here's another view from Lilly, showing how it just very much blends into the Lilly Avenue existing development along Lilly. And I think, is there anything else you think I should add? I think that's it for now.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Move on to questions from the board. Anyone have any?
What's along the property line on the east side? Is there any like views looking, I guess it'd be on the right-hand side of the,
The only side that has a neighbor.
yeah, was it the Nugget that's right there?
Can't hear what?
He's asking what's on the east side.
Oh, it's the Nugget. Yes.
So there's no like adjacency of having views looking across from there into your property.
I'm having a hard time hearing. It's the mic.
There's no views from that property looking towards your subject property, from the Nugget property I'm talking about. I guess the question is like, if
Go to the site plan. We don't have a volume adjustment. If you couldn't hear, I think my mic for some reason is louder. He was asking if there's views from the Nugget back towards your property.
You mean,
Have you studied?
you're in the Nugget, can you see this property? Is that the
Can
question?
you see the new development? Yeah,
The Nuggets is the building on the property line, pretty much.
it's up to the property line. Okay.
yeah,
We just
see
need to
you can
how
see it if you
there and
zoom
what their
in.
adjacency is.
You can see the Nugget building on the lower right-hand corner.
There it is. Yeah.
It's shaded, it's post shade on the outer edges of the Nugget.
So it's adjacent to the lower half of the property.
Yeah, see the hatch? That's the Nugget building, the hatches.
And they're right up on the property line there.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just a quick question. Do you happen to know what type of tree that is, that it's kind of in the center of the property that you guys looks like you guys are intending to keep? Right there. Yeah, sorry, right to the, where it says existing tree to remain in front of the new duplex there, just to the right of the driveway. Yep.
Oh, I forgot to mention the tree. That's an existing tree. And when we, I think it's worth noting that you're going to see two different site plans. And it's because since we submitted drawings for this hearing, we were since told by the planner that we would have to increase the parking. And when we did that, we expanded the parking to the east, still in that middle level. And we were trying to save the tree before, but now that we have to add parking, the only place to add parking on this site is to expand east. So we're going to lose that tree and we're going to replace it with different trees. But we think that it's very important to put a tree in this location. And we weren't happy about losing the tree. We love the tree, but yes.
And the parking in front of, on the south side of the whole development along Lily, that's existing?
Yes.
You guys
Yeah.
have already? Okay.
Jonathan, there should be a separate site plan.
Yeah, there's two site plans. That's the one where we expanded the
This is the most recent.
And the other thing I didn't point out is that we thought originally we were going to be able to park our ADA spot on the street. We thought we had building department support for that because of the constraints of the lot. But then we decided that rather than try to pursue that, we would just continue, since we had to add an additional parking spot anyway, to locate the ADA parking spot and mid-level and do a lift down to the commercial development. So we would have path of travel from Lily to the development, but then from the ADA parking spot, we would have a path of travel to a lift, and you can see it on the east side. You can see the hatched area. That's the lift to the path of travel. So if that helps just describe the differences in the site plans and the parking.
Thank you.
And that tree is a podocarpus, just to answer your question.
Any other questions from the board? No? All right, we'll move on to public comment. We have 3 speaker slips. And is there anyone online with their hand raised?
If anybody would like to make a public comment on this item online, please raise your hand. Seeing none.
Okay, so we'll stick with these. I'll call, I don't think these are in any order, so I'll call it Max Drucker. And you'll have, please state your name and you'll have 3 minutes. You can come up to this podium and just make sure the light is turned on the speaker. There you go. Thank you.
Try again. My name is Max Drucker. I'm a resident of Summerlin. I love living in Summerlin and very much part of the lifestyle is community and outdoor community. And love the first pass with Whitecaps and what Whitecaps has done, and having a place to spend time with other people, to eat and drink and play games outside in beautiful Summerlin. Just seems like a great win and a major upgrade to what's already an awesome community, and love the Nugget and other establishments around, and it'll just only make the area, better, more fun, a better community environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, and then we'll call up Pamela Scott.
Hi, I'm Pamela Scott. I'm a resident of Summerland. I'm also I was a commercial retail leasing broker for 45 years and actually sold this property in the past. But I just wanted to say that I'm in support of the project. I know we need residential in any form in Summerland, as everywhere. And that the commercial, was very popular before. The community really missed it, and we're looking forward to having some commercial back. And as far as the site plan, is the more seating for our community, the better, because we have a huge biking community that comes through, and the community eats in Summerland, and they have the opportunity, so it's a lot of local. And in fact, in the last project, they had seating at the Mr. Haber owns the right of way. It was purchased in the last purchase of this property. So, and that development, they had a focal point of seating area with a fountain and everything, because as you exit the freeway, it's a beautiful point of visibility for the community. There even was a surfboard because this used to be the Yater property or something. But in any event, I'm in support of the project. And any questions?
Thank you. Okay, and we'll call it Paul Garcia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paul Garcia, General Manager for the Nugget in Summerland and Carp. Here in support of this project, Michael really brought something very positive to the community. We saw a really nice, positive reaction from a lot of people in the surrounding community as well that would come in. It was a great place that he provided for people to come and join, like Max said, outside. He did a great job. He was a great neighbor, got along really well. So I think, however this can get through, we saw a downtick in traffic at the Nugget, and just from his presence not being there anymore. So we were disappointed to see him go. So I think having him there in this capacity, it's great. I think it looks beautiful. It fits the area. But it will really provide something for the community that they're still asking for. I still talk to people weekly. They go, "What's going on with Michael? Is it coming back?" And I'm telling them yes, because I think they'd be very disappointed if I was saying no. But it's still to this day, people asking, "What's going on? Is it coming back?" I hope so. He has live music there. It was just a really great space for the community. And it was bringing people in from outside of the community and bringing business to Summerland, which we have seen a downtick in that. So, and I don't see much else there besides the neighbor next to us on the other side that could start to bring more people through that community. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for me? Being the Nugget person?
That's great. Thank you.
Special tonight.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to just clarify something, is that you've heard some comments. So it wasn't clear in the description, but Don alluded to it. So Michael got the permits to establish the food truck, EHS, and that's all he thought he needed. And so this concept had been on the property for several months. And then it came to light that we needed to get a restaurant permit. So that's why we're here. So that's why you're hearing like, oh, he was there and then he left. That's why.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Do we have any additional public comment in the audience or online?
If anybody would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the chat. Seeing none, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. We'll start with Val Kimmelly. Amy, you hold her presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great project. I appreciate the mixed use concept, and I think it's appropriate having the commercial portion at the street and maintaining the residential units. And hopefully, yeah, you can find a good location for the new trees. I think that would be important, especially since the center now is mostly parking. So just thinking through the landscape. But I'll let my landscape colleagues comment on that. But I think that will be an important component. But I also appreciate the scale at which you're designing, especially with the steep slope.
Alex?
Can you show the whole picture there? Yeah, no, I agree. It's a very nice project. It's not easy. It's well thought out. By the way, I like it a lot better than the food truck. At first, I saw that project with the Jeep and the food truck. Oh my God, this is much, much better in terms of presence to the street, you know, like no driveway, no more vehicles. I mean, it's something that Summerland has is a lot of vehicles, and it doesn't quite help that much visually. I think this is a better site plan. I would like to see more about the landscaping, not just the tree, but everything else. It's a lot of concrete, but seems to be going the right direction. And it seems like still like to see more about the materials and the details, but it looks like it's going in a very good direction.
There is a landscape plan that I did not go over for the sake of time. And there's a finished board too. So in case you want to go back to that, Alex.
Okay, let's put it on the screen just so we can reference it.
Yeah, let's look at the landscape plan a
We
little bit.
skimmed over the finished schedule, the finished board. It's very Summerland, white, natural materials, kind of East Coast Nantucket seaside village, but, you know, in a very authentic Summerland way. And then the landscape plan is in the set as well toward the end.
While we're going to that, I realized I had a question I should have asked in the questions portion, but have you guys already spoken with the fire department? I know some of the structures are in pretty closer than normal proximity for fire. Have you already run that through them?
I think, did we get comments from fire?
Preliminary.
Yeah. But they're in support of the project.
Okay, it was mostly that pinch point where there's like a deck that's probably only a few feet away from the middle residential portion, so.
Landscaping is up.
No, it's further down.
Further down.
It's after all the A sheets. It's just not popping up.
This file is big.
Madam Chair, while we're waiting for that, one thing that would be helpful to get comments on is, so the previous development got a variance for a 0 lot line setback from Lily. We are still waiting to hear if we're going to be able to use that or if we're going to have to get a different variance or same variance, but it would be great to have comments from the board as to whether you would support that.
Okay.
Just for our planners' input.
So.
No landscape in that set? Yeah, there should be.
The only reference we have to what was probably most likely proposed through entitlements is the online listing. I'm not sure if that is similar to what the previous. Is there anything in the set that shows what was previously entitled for the 0 lot line, or you're just asking for us to just review this?
Yeah, just your comments on whether that would be acceptable.
Oh,
okay.
Can you
Might be a separate, the landscape plan might be a separate tab. Because we definitely have a landscape plan.
Sometimes it doesn't get uploaded to our viewing of the box. And so if the planner's online, they can, because you're here for conceptual, we can still review it if they're able to put it in. Or if you can email it really quick to Jonathan's email. I'll keep going with comments.
Yeah, let me clarify that. What is exactly this 0 setback line? Where does it affect on the site plan? What are you asking for exactly?
Let's go to the site plan and we can explain it.
So right along Lily, where the sidewalk is, you see how we have seating right up to the sidewalk. Normally there would be a 15-foot setback from Lily. So the previous development got a variance for 0 lot line setback from Lilly, given that there's 3 frontages and the amount of setback that, the amount of area that 3 setbacks would take up. So this is the site plan, assuming that we either can use the previous variance or that we would get a new one.
Do you have a plan with a line where it would be the setback and in color what you're asking for? I think that's what we really need, something a little bit more clear of what exactly is the ask.
We don't, because we were under the assumption that we could rely on the previous variance. So it's just recently come up that we might need to get a different one.
Where is this?
It would be 15 feet from where you see, like where that dark line is right above where it says existing sidewalk. That's the property line. So it'd be 15 feet up from
Maybe
that.
the gazebo and the front part of the building, is that?
No, most of the outdoor seating area, and then I would say probably a little bit of the grab and go kiosk and a little bit of that
If you go to the
commercial.
existing plan,
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you want to make a comment about what you want to request for that graphic.
So, and why is it required? It isn't like usually commercial property has a 0 setback. And so what's the story?
Summerlin, well, it's not actually Summerlin, it's just C1 property in the county has a 15-foot setback.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But it does match the Nugget.
It matches
setback.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And really everything along Lilly.
I find it compatible with the neighborhood. That's my own take.
Okay. Josh?
I guess to just tag on to that, I think, I remember working on projects on Lilly Avenue before the sidewalk was in, and it was really confusing to try and figure out how to place things, and what to do with the frontages. And I think people kind of step back, but I think this is a really successful example of what's come after, right? Now we have the sidewalk and the public kind of right away, and then this is right up to it, engaging the street, and it's just good practice. To Mr. Drucker, Max's point, it really brings people to the place where you want people to be. It'll be great for tourists. It'll be great for locals. It'll be great for everybody. Really, it's just great to see it, engaging the street, which is what we need to see more of. Some of the other properties are really pushed back, and this will just bring this corner to life. And I'm glad to hear that it'll, benefit the neighbors like the Nugget and others. So. Hopefully the freeway work across the street, that landscape will fill in so the view from this property isn't to what it is now, because it's a little bit barren. Hopefully that seems to be coming along nicely too. So this whole part of Summerlin is really starting to dial in nicely, and this project's a perfect fit for it, I think. For Summerlin too, I think we shouldn't miss the point that I really appreciate you putting the site section in. I think it should be just mentioned that the project's very well sited. One of the most difficult things in Summerlin, right, is everybody's view towards the Pacific Ocean and how things stack. The project fits well within the envelopes that are available through the zoning, but it's just the way it's stacked up and kind of climbs up the site is really well done. And I think it's respectful to the kind of existing condition that I think Summerlin residents enjoy, and it doesn't work against it in any way. It actually, it sets a good example for how that can go. So, and I know it makes it more complicated too to make all that work with public spaces and ADA and parking and all that, but it looks like you've worked it out. So good on you for that. So I would say mass bulk and scale are appropriate. Architectural style is compatible with the neighborhood, and it's well detailed. Looks to be, oops. Let's see, mass bulk and scale, architectural style, and well sited, and very supportable project. And thanks to the folks who came out today, took time out of their schedule to support the project and speak publicly. We really appreciate your guys' input, and I'm glad you guys took the time to do that. It really helps us understand the broader acceptance of the project. So I'm very much in support of it. Looking forward to seeing you guys come back with details, landscape plans, and getting you to the next step.
I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I think it's a great project, though. Really appreciate the vernacular that you guys use. I think that really fits within Summerland. My only comment about, I think maybe this a section to Josh's point, I think the one thing that may be lacking is a site section that kind of goes from Lily Ave to the neighbors behind. It's a little unclear. It's clear from Google Earth maybe, but just what that relationship is to the buildings behind the building, just to the point about ocean views and things. But I agree that it's stepped really nicely into the hillside. We quickly flip to the last sheet. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I think these renderings are nicely done. On Lily Ave, obviously the tree, it'd be hard to find something like that, and maybe it's not the right tree just for, I know this is a conceptual rendering, but I would encourage like more columnar type trees and maybe some palm trees even to maintain views for the tenants, of course, but just to really greenify kind of the building and bring down the scale a little bit. Maybe even along Lily Ave as well. I know that they have street trees happening on Lily Ave that there's lists that we can pull from. But I think that would be nice to have a few trees out in front as well. But overall, look forward to seeing the landscape plan if there is one. Yes.
Now what do you got to say?
Well, it looks really pretty.
Madam Chair, can I make a comment about the tree as well? Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's not usually a popular thing to say, but trees destroy views more than buildings do because they get enormous sometimes. And I think I would support what we're hearing about thinking about that maybe a little differently, something more calmer or a palm, or maybe something that just sits in that courtyard and doesn't, erupt and really take over that site. I mean, it's just not that trees are great, but I think the community would enjoy the view more than the tree at this point. So just a note on that.
Yeah, I think to Josh's point, podocarpuses, things that they're nice, and I know that's what's existing. They also get huge if you let them, and can become a nuisance for neighbors. But just at first glance, the palette looks nice, coastal and kind of Summerland eclectic. So I think it could further develop, of course, but I think it's on the right track. But it looks like that tree that's there, that's no longer there, right? So
I think
it's
this
gonna,
is on the old
yeah,
site
this is the
plan,
old
but
site plan. Right. So I think to our comments about palm trees and things like that, potentially more columnar type trees kind of scattered throughout. I don't want to say like Miramar, but it kind of looks like Miramar in a way, this project. And I think they did a really nice job of using a lot of different types of trees. But I think we would be a lot less here, of course.
Robert?
Yeah, agree with the positive comments. I think it's really clever how you've cited this onto the sloping existing site there. It's really nice how the outdoor dining space engages the street. So I think that's definitely a reason to support given the zero lot line request here. I think the food truck really fit in well and kind of adds a clever charm to it. So hopefully you guys can get support for that. To Kier's point about the palm trees potentially being a good species, maybe there might be a way to integrate some of those into your dining area that's adjacent to the sidewalk, just because it kind of seems devoid of any planting, and maybe there's a way to integrate like a palm tree or two where it fits in around the dining area and adds a little bit of greenery without taking up valuable dining space. And then seeing this landscape plan is good because I was asking the question about what's adjacent to this, and I understand the nugget is right there along the lot line. But then when you pull it up on Google Earth, it looks like behind the nugget, there's a residence there. So I would just encourage sensitivity to how that property line is addressed between the residence and the new duplex on the back of the lot. I think it's a great project. It's going to look great there. It fits right in with the architectural style. And thanks to everybody for commenting accordingly. And you got a neighbor that supports you. That's great too. So.
Val, did you have anything to add? I know you came.
Yeah, I just want to, I had reviewed it previously, even though I missed your presentation. And I really like the scale of how you've incorporated the square footage that you have, but not made it overpower and dealt with the hillside. And I completely support the 0 lot line. It's very important to have that outdoor dining. That's what everybody wants. And if you had to adhere to 15 feet, you'd lose half of it and compromise your design. So it's really important the way it engages with the street. I think it's great. And just appreciate all the different uses and the scale of it, the way you've designed it. Yeah, very supportive.
I agree with the previous comments, especially the 0 lot line support. I really appreciate how you've articulated it with parts of it crossing towards the street and with the structure, but then also especially with the outdoor dining closest to the street. Landscape wise, I agree with, I think, given that you're removing most of the podocarpus, I don't think that it's a requirement to use that as the species going back in. Even other species of podocarpus or varieties could be more suitable to the site. But I agree that maybe some strategic canopy trees and then also just a few other accent trees or palms to break up the amount of hardscape and the stacked elevation. But I think overall it looks like a very successful application. You're here for conceptual review, so we won't make a motion today. I would suggest when you come back for prelim just to give us a graphic that delineates what you're crossing over so that we can speak specifically to that if you're requesting a modification. If your planner is not, if you're grandfathered in, then I don't think you'll have to do that graphic. Yes.
One thing that I would just consider, this doesn't necessarily have to be a comment, just from experience looking at these projects on Summerlin, if you're going to have any signage with the project, it sounds like you already have a tenant. So it's up to you to define the strategy, how you want to get that approved as a part of the project or later. If it was me, I would probably try to start integrating that now. You get it integrated with design. This board, we don't have a sign committee, so this board would be looking at that, and we can, the sooner we get that into the discussion, the better.
So we do have 2 signs proposed on the elevations, and then we have the materials on the material board.
When you bring it back, make sure you kind of put that into the agenda, like of your presentation, so we get a good, clear focus on it and get comments on it, so everybody's satisfied with the lettering and the size and the lighting. And I would say too, with that, also the lighting, because it's important for the operators to have lighting and safety and all that, but there's pretty strict compliance, and I know Summerlin's going to be sensitive to that. So just lighting and signage, just bring that into the next discussion, and let's make sure we get clear comments so you guys go back and finish your design work.
Great. Yep.
Does the board feel that they can come back prelim and final since the architecture is?
Yes.
Yeah. Unless there's some sort of finding we have to make with the modification.
Or a variance, but yeah.
I mean, at least give them a shot, but then they can.
I just think it's a big project, so it's good to have a preliminary just in case you want to change something and not go all the way into final.
What does the board feel that we should we allow them the chance to come back prelim final or?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Because we still have to make the finding from both. Don't be too nice. All right. Give me agendas that way. Fair warning. Okay. Thank you. All right. We'll move on to item 2, the Weedle Family Trust Addition and Accessory Structure. Thank you. The applicant online, I don't see them on the audience.
I am here, yes. I'm sorry, I apologize. There's probably 3 or 4 of me because I sent the link to all the team members. So
Okay.
I'm here in a crowd of myself. But one of me's in there
I'll
is
go
our
ahead and
landscape
read.
architect.
Sorry, I
Make the
made
right
a little
systems,
crossover.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and read the project description now that I know you're present. The project is here for at the request of Katerina Svensson, agent for the owner Larry Weidel. Here for conceptual review of a construction of a 317 square foot addition to the existing single family residence. 720 square foot 2-car garage, a 480 square foot workshop, 375 square foot covered patio, and 30 by 14 foot pool. The following structures exist: a single family residence of 2,963 square feet, 320 square foot guest house, 152 square foot wine cellar, 554 square foot 2-car garage, and a 839 square foot deck. The proposed project will require approximately 39 cubic yards of cut and 39 fill. It's a 5.19 acre parcel located at 6020 La Goleta Road in the Eastern Goleta Valley Community Plan area. You can go ahead and state your name and give us your presentation.
Kate Svensson, designer and agent for the owner, who's also, by the way, online, Larry Weidel. So this is a pretty unimpactful addition to an existing residence. The lot, as you stated, was over 5 acres. It's very secluded. It's absolutely invisible, has no street frontage, and the neighbors are so far away that we honestly didn't bother to put them on a site plan because you cannot see them from other than from a very far away distance. So this is a single story residence and for single family, and the scope of the project was to expand their rear of the house where they have an existing master bedroom that is small and kind of insufficient as a master bedroom unit. So the scope of that work for the main house is basically to extend the rear of the house to enlarge the master bedroom, provide them with a nice large bathroom and a walk-in closet. In addition to that, we were putting a new garage where since the existing garage has been converted to an ADU prior to the current homeowner buying the project, he wasn't aware that it was converted illegally. So part of our planning and building submittal will be to legalize that ADU conversion of the garage. So to replace that, we're proposing to have a new 2-car garage, and one extra bay of that would be a workshop for the family. They do a lot of landscaping, they do a lot of gardening, and so they're going to use this for their tools, for their crafts, for whatever they might do. We do have a separate pool designs. The design that you see here is kind of a placeholder. We have a pool company that is designing the spa and the pool itself, which we will show you at the preliminary with kind of better understanding of what that area will look like. And the deck that we're proposing around the pool, basically, which is the extension of our addition. So the idea was to extend the deck to get some space for the family to lounge, to put some chairs in, to watch the sunset, and just have access all around the back patio, which is currently just heavily landscaped and has kind of disconnected flow on the back of the house. So if you scroll down to the next page, please. This is a zoomed in view. So there's on the west side, that deck is existing basically. So we're proposing to kind of match the same existing deck on the side of the addition facing the pool. The house is built in a Spanish style, but kind of not a true commitment to Spanish style. It has several kind of mid-century modern elements to that. So we're not proposing anything grand on the rear side. We're just kind of going with the flow of the house and updating some of the elements, like they had stuccoed rafters on the exposed decks. So we're trying to remove this, put back TNG, put back exposed beams, and just kind of pick up on the Spanish style a little bit more and bring it back to what we're trying to do with this whole development. This is just some side sections for you to see. While the entire lot is pretty sloped all the way up till you reach the residence, the pad where what you guys hold on, can you stay on the floor please for a second? The pad where we're proposing the development is relatively flat. So can we just go back to the floor plan for a second to show the board the extension of the master, maybe? Thank you. Yeah. Actually, this is good. Yeah, that's fine. So you will see like in the dock walls, obviously what the new walls are. So we're popping out a little bit of the existing bathroom at the master bedroom to provide for a shower and a freestanding tub and a toilet compartment. And then the master bedroom itself receives a fireplace and a little bit of a seating area and a walk-in closet. There's drawings for the existing ADU conversion. I don't know if you want to review that, but it's already there. It's built really well within the style of the home. And it provides the family with an opportunity to have a guest space for their family members. And then the driveway would wrap around to the new proposed two-car garage. And on the page north of the two-car space, you will see the workshop with the access to the wraparound deck. And then hidden behind all of that and will be and is currently landscaped as well is the mechanical room that will service the pool and the spa at the pool. Could you keep scrolling down? It's just electrical. Okay, so here shows the extent of the roof modifications. So obviously the garage and the workshop and the decks are all new roof. And then the portion that shows the photovoltaic panels is the area that we removed to tie in the proposed roof into the existing roof. And then we're covering that with photovoltaics. It's a Spanish tile roof, so we're continuing with that, obviously, to blend the entire project all together. Could you please keep scrolling? Okay, so this is the extent of the changes of the front elevation of the house, which is the south elevation. The rotunda you see is the front entry. So on the right-hand side, you will see a little bit of an extension, which is that two-car garage that we're adding. And then on the bottom two elevation, you will see on the left-hand side of the north elevation is the workshop with two windows, and then the deck that wraps around, and you will see the two sliding doors and at the master suite and the window in the bathroom. And that's what I was commenting about, the slightly mid-century style on that elevation. If you just scrolled from the rear elevation facing the pool, there's these large windows that are kind of more mid-century modern than Spanish. And these are just the elevations of basically the garage side of the addition and the workshop side of the addition. So the short elevation of the house, just to give you an idea of the grade. The grade starts sloping pretty rapidly from that point on. So you will see steps accessing the deck and the workshop. Could you scroll further, please? This is just our sections. You will see the garage raised. Oh, okay. On the section CC, you will see that the garage is raised above the current finished ground elevation. So that area will be landscaped and we'll continue the stucco walls all the way down and make it all tie up with the rest of the property. Could you please keep going? Okay, and this is the renderings we did for the proposed addition. Please keep in mind they don't show a proposed landscaping in them. This is just kind of to give you an idea of what the structure looks like right now and how it looks with the addition to the master and the garage and workshop. Thank you. So title 24, yeah, I think we just have structural drawings. So we carried on with producing structural and energy drawings and everything else. We feel pretty okay that this is not a huge impact on the property or the neighbors. And we got positive comments from our planner. So we just carried on with continuing on building department drawings. In addition to that, we're working out a slight, which you will see at the preliminary review, a slight extension of the living room, that room with large glazing on facing the pool. We're looking into opportunity to maybe extend the eaves to shield the living room a little bit from the sun exposure. Currently, the eaves are at 18 inches, and that room gets pretty blasted by the sun. So at the next iteration, you might see the extension of that living room gable eave and gable end, and maybe a couple of posts to kind of tie in the proposed covered deck with the living room facade.
Okay, I think we understand. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Move on to any questions from the board? Nope.
Yeah. Are there any, what happens to the existing driveway? And looking at that
Yeah, if you
drawing,
zoom in on this
are you
sheet,
going, the question is, are you going to remove any of the existing paving, or are you going to add more paving? And where is the landscape plan?
we haven't, this is our first review, so we don't have landscape plan finished yet, but on the site plan that you've seen right now, you'll see the extension of the driveway. If you zoom into the new garage, you'll see the darker hatched area, which is the extension of the, yes, correct, which is the extension of the driveway.
Are you removing any of the driveway? I mean, there's a lot of
No,
paving
we're not
there.
removing it. The driveway is there.
And serves, but they used to serve the garage. Now the EDU is not the garage, so you don't need to park there. I mean,
Right. So I mean, I'm sure it was previously maybe designed partially for fire truck access. So it wasn't in our plan to remove it. We certainly could decrease it to the limits of the fire department requirement if that's something that the board wants us to work on. But I should have probably provided you more site photos, because this area all around the driveway and all around the house is really landscaped, beautifully landscaped actually. And when you actually arrive there, you don't feel like there's, a parking lot in front of it at all, because there's so many succulents and water features and pathways and, but we can, take it under, advisory comment and look into that if that's something that the board feels strongly about.
Okay, any other questions?
Just a quick question on sheet 9. Could we go to the elevations real quick? Yeah, maybe the north elevation. Yeah, do you for the raised deck that's coming off of the main house down to the pool area, is that a wood deck, and then what's the face of that?
So yeah, so there
that
is a
drop?
raised deck, as you can see in the existing elevation. It's just steps down. Well, it's partially raised, but it steps down. So we were trying to bring up a portion of it to the same level as the finished floor where the master addition is going. So the double doors on the north elevation, on the existing north elevation that you see next to the large glazing, that's existing office. So the office used to step down to the deck, and then there was basically no access to the left-hand side of the house other than through landscaping. So we're bringing the deck up. It's a raised deck. It will be wood type of material, or tracks or this kind of material on the deck itself. And then the front of the wall will most likely be stuccoed like the rest of the house. But we really want to plant it, kind of heavily plant it, so from this elevation you wouldn't see the stucco wall.
Thank you. Then just the last on sheet 3, the site plan, there's like an existing deck below the pool to the top left of the pool. Is that just like a patio area, or
It's just some
existing patio and
hardscape that they have existing, like paving stones, on grade.
All right, thank you.
Right, any other questions? Move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak on this item? There are no letters in the box.
We did receive one letter of support for this project, but we have no other hands raised and we have no letters submitted besides that.
Okay. All right, so one letter of support, and we will close public comment. Do we want to put that letter on the screen for a second, for the record? Sorry, reopening. All right, and while he's doing that, we can. Comment in support. Okay. Thanks. And then we'll move on to comments from the board. Alex, would you like to start?
Again, okay.
Oh, did I have you
No,
say last? I'm
no,
sorry.
that's
I thought
fine.
I had.
Can you have the site plan, please? Yeah, yeah. No, I don't have any issues with the project. I think it seems very nicely designed. I'm curious about. It appears in this plan that there's a lot of there's an existing driveway and existing paved area that seems to be pretty large, and I'm not sure how it's used or how it seems that you're increasing it. So that seems a little bit odd. I would like to see what you can do in terms of landscaping and to address the existing paving and it just looks like there's a lot more than people normally need. So I would like some clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay. Amy?
Yeah, I think the proposed addition is acceptable. I think it's well planned on the site. And it's a nice design. I do appreciate the drawings are really clear, and I also appreciate the existing and proposed elevations right next to each other. So perhaps maybe just providing some more site photos along with the landscape plan will probably help show what's there, especially if it's already really planted. I don't think that there needs to be anything done to existing paving if it's not part of the project, but that's just my comment. So I could support.
Val?
I agree with those comments. I didn't notice what you had in terms of recessing of windows and your roof material. Is it two-piece
It is
tile?
two-piece Spanish tile, and we'll try to match this, as closely as possible.
And do you have some areas where you have thickened walls to recess
No,
windows?
not on the existing structure,
and
no.
doors?
And for that point, not for the proposed openings. We're only adding 2 openings in the main house, and then the rest of it is really garage windows.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with the way it's being presented and the way you're trying to pull it into a more true Mediterranean feeling.
I guess first of all, I would take exception to the or the presentation that the project's invisible. It's definitely visible and quite prominent on the site along the foothills here. So having said that, I don't see that there's anything to be concerned about in terms of its visibility. It seems to be a very modest and respectful treatment of a single story, single family dwelling. So no issue there, but it is visible, and it looks like it's becoming more attractive with time in this proposal. So very supportable from neighborhood compatibility. Mass bulk and scale are fine. It's well cited, and architectural style. And we're looking forward to seeing your details and all that. But it's great. It's a nice transformation of an old, tired kind of California ranch to something a little bit freshened up and more comprehensively treated. It appears that you're actually really taking a full swing at bringing a new architectural style forward. So I would say the only real concern here is just it's in a rural area, so lighting, light pollution is probably the biggest design concern I have to make sure it's followed. So as the documentation goes forward, please make sure that you do a good job of liberally notating the drawings so that the dark sky compliant standards are readily available to the builders and understood, so that like the lighting that gets added to the project later really does what it needs to make it comfortable for the owners, but also respects the dark sky kind of standards and ordinances. So that would be my comment.
Here.
Yeah, I echo all the comments about the architecture. I think it's a very nice update to the building and looks like you're adding on in the right spots. My only comments would be, yeah, return with a landscape plan, as I know you guys are working on. I think to my colleague's point about the driveway being a lot of paving, I could see this as a nice opportunity to reduce paving where necessary or where able to. I think along those lines, the pool to me and some of the hardscape elements seem a little disjointed. I see like the pool with the existing deck area. I think that's a nice opportunity there to somehow make those work together. Just seems like they're kind of combating each other a little bit. But so I look forward to seeing the landscape architect's plan and how they intend to kind of make this a little bit more cohesive and make a little bit more sense as far as the hardscape and how the tenants will use it. But overall, nice project. Thank you.
May I ask a question? Because I don't remember last time I brought up a pool to a project. Do you guys review the design of the pool and the hardscape around the pool? Should we update those renderings and drawings for the next hearing?
Yeah, if it's proposed as part of this application, we review the landscape, all site work as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I would just tack on, I'm not really that interested in renderings of the pool. I just, as more of a comment about, making the hardscape kind of cohesive.
Robert?
Yeah, I guess I'll just echo Kira's comments here that it seems like the pool area needs further development and the way that the deck that's around the residents, the way that it connects down to the pool seems like it could be refined in a way that would make the pool area more usable and better connected to the residents. Additionally, there's probably an opportunity to connect the new pool area to that existing large paving area that's downslope of it at a different angle. So just in the world of landscape architecture, I guess we would look to see how we could unify these features and potentially make them into a nice landscape area. Right now, it just kind of seems like a pool that's been placed downslope of the residence. So I guess we look forward to seeing refinement of that.
Yeah, I agree with those comments. I think the architecture seems suitable and well designed, and I think there's just some more development to be done on the site work. So your agenda is for, conceptual. So I think, does the board feel it could come back for preliminary since the architecture's solid and just see more development on the site work? Okay. Thank you
so much. I'll stay on because I'm next person too.
Oh, yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 3. The Sharuzi single-family dwelling, request of Katerina Sensen, agent for the property owner, Sean Sharuzi, here for further conceptual review of a 4,300 square foot new residence. The following structures exist on the parcel. Single-family dwelling attached garage consists of 2,400 square feet. The proposed project will require approximately 185 cubic yards of cut and 185 of fill. The property is 0.38 acres, located at 690 Lorraine Avenue in the Eastern Glebe Valley Plan. I'll read the previous comments. The architectural style is appropriate. Project is nicely done. Entry form appears large in renderings. Consider restudy. Return with 2-piece mission tile roofing material rather than S-tile. Restudy spaces between top of arches and eave as presented. The spaces appear too tight. Recessing of windows is successful and could be recessed more. Study arched windows on east elevation. 3 interior arched windows are successful and outer arched windows could be restudied. Consider adding larger and more decorative vents on east and west elevations. Return with landscape plan. So you can go ahead and state your name and focus on any updates from the last time we saw this.
Yes, Kate Svensson, designer and the applicant for the owner. So this is actually last meeting. We got scheduled pretty early before we had planner feedback or planner comments from our submittals. So the board has had an opportunity to see it before we received any feedback. So since then we had a little bit of development. I don't remember if you've seen the rendering. I believe we added the rendering now. since the last hearing to kind of give you a little bit more realistic representation of the building, because I think it was very hard to read on the drawings in terms of, shadows and the recesses and scale of things. But also we did address all of the design related comments, which were very helpful and I think improved the building quite a bit. So the major change outside of the design elements, and please keep scrolling to the site plan if you have a chance. Yeah. So this one. Thank you. So we went through several consultations with the planning department regarding this property, and we're still doing that. We have been since asked to basically address the potentially that this property has two front setbacks from Cathedral Oaks and from Lorraine Avenue. So in doing so, we've relocated the property further away from south property line, which is Page East. So previously it was closer to the neighbor on the south, and we've moved this entire house to the north, closer to Cathedral Oaks, to abide with the setbacks that we discovered. And in doing so, we're also been advised to ask for an encroachment and into that setback to the limit that we were allowed to ask for the encroachment, so that we wouldn't have to relocate the property all the way, back up to Cathedral Oaks setback. This is a pretty loud road, and we're trying to keep the house kind of a little bit tucked away. And to mention, the existing house is where we're proposing, like on the south side of the property, the existing residence that's we're demolishing as part of the scope of this job is exactly where we're proposing to keep our house. So we had relocated it over 5 feet towards Cathedral Oak. That created us having to do the new apron and new driveway. But the rest of the architecture and square footage and mass bulk and scale stayed the same since the board has seen it previously. Could you please keep scrolling down? So you've seen it already. In fact, relocating it towards Cathedral Oak actually created a little bit of a nicer buffer on the south side and a little bit more opportunity for us to landscape that area between the neighbor to the south. Nothing has changed on the floor plan except that we did make modifications to the windows on the east, as the board suggested, and you can see, okay. Well, you see on the plan that wall is now doubled, which we didn't have it doubled before, and the board commented that those windows looked flat. So if you zoom into those 3 French doors, you will see that we've thickened that wall to provide up, just a little bit up. Yeah. So that wall is now thickened to provide that recess that the board was looking for, and it picks it up on the kitchen side on the opposite elevation at the front entry. And we did restudy the header height of those arched openings as the board felt they were too close to the eaves and gutters. And if you keep going to the exterior elevations, nothing has changed to the roof plan. Okay, so I think we got positive comments about the front elevation and the recessed windows on the kitchen side, right next to the garage door. So we kind of try to replicate that detail without the tiled sills on the rear elevation. If you scroll down page, you will see those. So we drop down those arched windows. Oh, okay, a little bit up. Yeah, we drop down those arched windows and doors throughout that elevation, and it's hard to read, but they are recessed. So hopefully you can see it on the floor plan with the thickened wall. And we did increase the sizes of decorative vents. They read a little bit too small. I think it was a really good comment to increase the size of those and make them a little bit thicker. We did the same with the front elevation and the main arch and columns because it's read out of scale before. So we continued with that. And things just then worked on some little chimney details. I think there should be a rendering page down if you scroll down. We might have submitted separately, so you don't see the renderings of the house from all sides, but we've provided those. And sadly didn't make it. But the one comment that we were hoping that the board would reconsider, and it hasn't been addressed, is the two-piece Spanish tile roof. The homeowner felt that it was the roof that we were proposing right now, the S-tile is an improvement to what's there now, which is a very deteriorated, asphalt shingle, and obviously the cost impact on this project, which is already pretty impactful for the homeowner. He was asking for the board's reconsideration to keep it with an S-tile roof, and hopefully the neighbor who is right above us on the south side would not object to that, because it is going to be an improvement to what they're looking at right now. So that's all the changes we've made since the last hearing. So if that would complete my presentation, except for Robert Adams is here. We were asked to provide a landscape plan, and our landscape architect is here to explain to the hardscape and the landscape elements.
I don't see the landscape plan in the set.
I think we're
have a
not
few
looking at the
questions for
complete
the
set because
planners.
the renderings were there and the landscape plan was there uploaded.
Yeah.
And is there a planner who can?
Anna Lamb, are you online? She is. Kiana, I have a couple questions, but one, it sounds like the full set might not be in there. Do you have access to that?
I
that
have
you could
access to a
put it in the
Acela,
web?
and I see it on Acela. And the planner, it was sent to Kiana, who is our planner, to confirm that it will be inserted and
Yeah.
presented at this hearing.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah,
Oh,
hi, Kiana.
hi. Sorry, my mic was not working.
It's okay. Can you upload the full set to Acela so that we can see the landscape plan and the they're here for
Yeah,
conceptual,
I'm
so we're able
checking
to
right
see it.
now.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I also was wondering, normally if the applicant's asking for a modification or a variance, there's a planner memo so we know what findings we need to make. I assume we will make those findings in at preliminary level, but if you could help us
Yeah.
sort out what
Okay.
modification we need to do, or what we would need to support. I think a setback because they have 2 front yards.
Yeah, this was a very unique situation where the homeowner discovered, in the last month that it was in fact 2 front yards. So it was a shock to him to lose this much of his property. He just bought it a year ago.
Okay, and
It should be uploaded now, through the box link that was shared by Jonathan.
we can go straight to the landscape plan if it's in there.
This is not.
It looks like this is the same set that was uploaded
This is the same set.
previously.
Yeah, that's not. But there. Oh no, there you go.
Oh, there it is.
Ah, there it is. I like seeing that.
Mhm.
Anyway, Robert Adams here, landscape architect. So anyway, so I met with the client. And the client, what I noticed immediately about the property is these just gorgeous Italian stone pines in the front on a slope. It's kind of backed up by a wall. One of the things that we want to do is get those Italian stone pines trimmed because they're a bit of a fire danger with certain limbs, and I think we can do it. We're gonna have to do it because they have really long limbs, but it's sort of a character defining aspect of the street on Lorraine. So anyway, and then the other thing about this project is he has family members that use wheelchairs. So one of the things we are exploring is a lot of paving, so the family members can get around both in the back and the front. And then let's see, the other main aspect is we're keeping a lot of hedging on Cathedral Oaks and behind the property at the property line, but we're going to kind of reinvent the back patio. We're going to use a collection of small, interesting drought tolerant palms back there, and he was interested in that. We're going to keep a citrus tree back there that he likes. I think it's an orange, but we do have a lot of paving. We have a small kind of water feature that the family members can sit on the edge. And let's see, and then let me move to the front real quick. Around the Italian stone pines, once they're trimmed, we want to do like a native coffee berry underneath those things, so the coffee berries can absorb the litter from the stone pines, which litter quite a bit, but they're absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, and then over to the west is just a simple grass area. He wants to keep that open. Anyway, so that's kind of it. So
Great, thank you. We'll move on to questions from the board, and I think I'm actually going to start with the questions so that I can go through and see what comments were addressed for clarification, and then we can move on to additional questions. So A was that it's appropriate. B, the entry form appears large in renderings. Consider restudy. To the architect, was that restudied?
Yes, we restarted it. We slightly modified the size of it, but we did increase the arch opening and the decorative surround around the arches to kind of like bring the balance back together, and also the decorative vent at the gable end of that. Yes.
Okay. And then comment C was the two-piece mission tile. I think that'll come out more in comments. Restudy the spaces between the top of the arch and eave.
Yep.
I did see that was addressed. Recessing the windows is successful, but could be recessed more. We can address that in comments because I know it was addressed in the presentation. Study arched windows on east elevation. Three interior arched windows are successful, and outer arched windows could be restudied. Was that addressed? Page 19.
Yes,
Was that addressed?
we decreased overall header height on all of them, and then you can see we dropped the two side windows, the arched windows on each side of the French doors. You can see that the header height dropped even lower than the French doors. And also that wall that I was talking about has been doubled. So it's a thickened wall. So this recesses will read deeper now.
Okay. And then adding more decorative large vents.
Yes, so
that
it's
was
hard to know
addressed.
because you don't see the previous, but all the decorative vents have been increased, both the ones with the stone surround and just the circular opening above the French doors at where the office on the right hand side of this elevation where the office is. We've increased them both, well, all three of them actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then return with a landscape plan. And of course we saw that. I had one question on the landscape plan. Are you requesting improvements outside the property line along Cathedral Oaks, or you're just documenting what's existing?
No,
That question came up
the
previously.
one thing I'm adding outside the property line is a native coffee berry. It could be easily reversible. I just feel like we want a little bit more cover. It is outside of that property line, but easily reversible or transplanted and irrigated. We're going to use drip irrigation, but I felt like, instead of just needles, it could be a native kind of shrub like the coffee berry. So that's what I was thinking. That's the only improvement I see.
And is that along the hedge line that you're showing there, or just in the corner?
No, it's in the front. Okay, look at the two stone pines in front on Lorraine.
Oh, on that side. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the Cathedral Oak side,
that's all existing
that
hedging.
hedging.
It's just
It's all existing.
We want
Okay,
to keep
that's what
that.
I
We
wanted
like
to,
that screening for everyone.
Okay.
Good neighbor policy.
I believe so. Yeah, so we can make that a comment. Yes.
Yeah, so what is the existing planting to remain in these big, large areas? A gray one in the top and a
It's
green
just
one on the left.
low grasses and hedging. Also, it's just
Oh.
like a grass on the west, Alex, and the existing hedging. There's a lot he just wants to keep, and also including those Italian stone pines in front.
I do want to comment that existing the great or the light green area you see on page north, it says existing vegetation and hedges to remain. That area is a landscaping easement from the property behind it. So it's hard to tell, but there's a fence basically separating our property from that landscaping easement, even though it's part of our property. But like in reality, this property is not used beyond this fence, so it belongs to that trailer park community behind this house. So we're not touching it because there's an existing 6-foot fence essentially ending our property 29 feet away from the property line.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're sort of dressing up close to the house patio with the small interesting palms. So.
Okay. All right, any additional questions?
Yeah, the only question I had is, the drawings have details of the 2-piece clay tile.
Mhm.
There is a request to not use that.
Yeah,
Is
so
that right?
we went ahead and updated our drawings since the last hearing and heard essentially a cry for help from the homeowner, considering he was hit with a lot of new information about his property. So we kind of left the set where it was,
Sure.
awaiting the board's decision regarding that, but we would appreciate your consideration.
Okay. Any additional questions? Move on to public comment. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to speak on this item?
Madam Chair, we have received no letters for this item. We have one person in the chat. If anybody would like to make a public comment on this item, please raise your hand. Seeing no public comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Start with Josh.
Well, first of all, I'd say in terms of protecting neighborhoods, your client is definitely improving this neighborhood. That looks from an aerial view, it looks like some of the properties surrounding it aren't in very good condition. There's like a junkyard across the street. Looks like not a real junkyard, but somebody
It's pretty rough, yeah.
playing junkyard with their house. And it's on the corner of a kind of a state highway, so it's it's a tough one, and I think it's definitely improved. And I agree that the stone pines are really defining, and I love how they're being integrated into the landscape plan more, so that they're not just kind of dangling there in the street, doing their thing. And I think it's going to make the house look more comprehensive with that thinking in mind. So anyway, I think obviously the mass bulk and scale of the house is fine. Compatibility with the neighborhood's fine. Understand the need for paving and accessibility, so I can get behind that. There was a few comments on the detailing. I can't tell if they were all resolved. There's a lot of architectural kind of moves happening on this house. It probably could be simpler, but I'm not going to go down that path for such a small house. The arches still look like they're a little bit high up on the wall, and from a detailing standpoint, that might be a problem. So I don't know if you need to study that more, if they're just it's the elevation's not showing it, but yeah, from the inside out. So just that's may get resolved in the field. But I guess the only issue I would just say, make sure your project's documented with dark sky compliant lighting. I would lose the little vents on the rake wall conditions. They're not necessary. They're just over decorative for no reason. But the rest of it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's your personal choice. You can do that. I'm going to strike that comment. I don't care if you do those or not. Just let them
I'm sure
land.
the owner would appreciate it
But I
if you
think that
killed pretty much every decorative feature. So
I
keep
well, I
going.
don't know. He's going to save
Yeah,
money if
exactly.
he
Yeah.
does, but no, but I don't care. But I do think the roof is important because you are trying to upgrade this to a certain architectural character, and S-Tiles just it sucks. It's ugly, and we don't like it, and we never approve it. So if a two-piece mission tile is not feasible, then I would have the owner look at a flat tile. There's plenty of terracotta, like cementitious tiles that have dimension and quality that would look great on this. I was just doing a little web search before I opened my big mouth on that, and I was looking at it, and I think there's maybe some economical solutions there that I certainly understand the cost of two-piece mission tile, and it's also heavy, and it requires more of the structure to support it. But maybe a flat terracotta tile or something else. But if you're going to do a Spanish tile roof in Santa Barbara, you got to do it right. I think that's the consensus. So no workarounds with the S tile, but find something economically feasible in another direction with the same color and character. I think you'll be happy. That's my comments.
Yeah, I think overall you've addressed the comments and have a good project. I'm still struggling with the wall with the 3 arch doors and the 2 on either side. It might actually look better if you eliminated one of the short windows and, oh, stop. Yeah, eliminate one of the shorter windows and spread out the rest across the space. It just feels very crowded. And I think given your great room layout, there may be the opportunity to do that, to let that wall of glass be more spread out. And I also agree with Josh's comments on the roof that S-Tile is just not a good solution. It doesn't upgrade to a Mediterranean house in the way that you want. So looking for other options of flat tile. Now, I think one time we had somebody that they used 2-piece for the booster and the starter tiles and then kind of buried it. You think that was unsuccessful? Okay. So, yeah, I think finding other options for either the 2-piece or a flat tile, but not the S tile. It just cheapens the whole end result. I think that's about it for me.
Amy?
Yeah, I agree with all those comments. And I guess just to add one, when you're looking at the lighting, I would maybe minimize the amount of lights that are shown, or maybe locate them near the doors. There just seems to be, if you go to the full page of elevations,
Much.
maybe if lighting the hardscape and is the goal, maybe integrating some lighting path, like low path lighting might be more successful. There looks like there's a lot of lights sort of spread out across the elevations. And then the only other comment would be those 2 kitchen windows in plan look like they're not recessed. It looks like there's a recess in the wall, but I would suggest actually pushing the window itself in.
Oh no, the whole sill is recessed, like the tiled
In-
sill.
Not in the plan. I would just suggest take a look at the floor plan. Those are all my comments.
Yeah, I agree with all the comments. I think it's a 4,000 square foot house, 4,300. Its style, it's just not acceptable. And if we make an exception for this one, then we need to keep going on for anybody else. It's not affordable housing. It's not a tiny little house. It is a 4,300 square foot house. I would be open to raised a metal roof, raised beam metal roof. Might work on this if you want to go in that direction. I'm not sure how the board feels about that, but style, no. I agree with the other comments. If we can go back to the landscape plan, I still wonder what happens in that area. It just seems like we could use other trees on the north side, towards Cathedral Oaks.
Yeah, I would.
If those stone, the stone pines are so successful. Well, why not put a couple more on the other front? It just seems like so plain.
Yeah.
It just seems like I don't know. There's room for some improvement on that.
Yeah, that's
And
fine. The owner just wanted that clean with kind of a grass. I was suggesting a meadow grass, but I think a couple trees, we can integrate that close to Cathedral Oaks and give some height differential. The hedge is really thick and nice, so but we can add to that in terms of height.
It's just like there's a lot of paving and there's just no, I'm not sure if it's just grasses or what. It just seems like it needs some vertical landscape elements.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are my comments.
Yeah, I think the only comment with the landscape plan is I think you kind of are getting into like a little bit of more curvilinear language out front. I think potentially bringing that into the back just to add a little bit more interest. I totally appreciate being ADA accessible and needing a lot of paving to kind of maintain these plants, or the homeowners want to kind of access these plants. I kind of agree with that lawn area. It's kind of weird that you guys don't own all of that. So I think a meadow would be preferable to lawn if they're not going to, there's not like young kids or they don't want a big lawn area. I think water reduction there would be good. But and then just a red, warning that you'll have to get a public works plan approval for paving and landscaping out in the right of way along Lorraine Avenue. So just a heads up there, but overall, I think could support the project for considering the size.
Robert?
Yeah, I'll leave my comments to the landscape. I also wanted to echo the concerns about the work shown over the property line and just make sure that you've gone through that with Public Works, because I'm not sure having the hedge and the paving that serves the residents off the property is something that they're going to support. So I think that the paving seems like it could have some kind of further detailing to it that might add to, like denotating the entry of this property. And right now it just kind of feels like it's like a sea of paving. So I would suggest studying the paving. I like your suggestion of, if you're going to use a curvilinear in the front, possibly use that in the back as well. But you could possibly look at introducing some banding or like a perimeter to your paving, just to help break it up a little bit and add interest to it. Also, the paving goes right up against the house, I think in every location. And I understand you have a requirement of being ADA accessible, so that's criteria. I would just suggest if there's anywhere where you could cut a few planters in adjacent to the house, it might help to soften the house by having planters and planting adjacent to the
Yeah, I
house.
kind of
So-
have some accent container plants up against the back there, and I should look at more of that in the front too. Big pots, specimens, and we could do citrus and things like.
Yeah, I think that could be nice. And it might be a way that you could kind of set off the entry. Right now, the entry and the architecture really like
Yeah.
is clear, and maybe there's an opportunity to work with the architecture of the building by introducing some landscape element, be it pots or at-grade planters or something like that. So those are my comments. Thank you.
I agree with the previous comments. I think it looks, just a minor note, that it looks like your pavers are crossing over the property line. So for the simplicity of your application, you might want to pull that in and sort it out, however it gets sorted out with your planner. But one thing I was just trying to compare to like Google Earth is the driveway is called out as asphalt with slot drains. If I have the right imagery, it looks like the existing is concrete. It's just an odd condition that there's no like defined driveway apron. And I think it would look better to have a material change from the roadway into the driveway rather than a sweep without any sort of even concrete apron. So I guess that can be a question to the applicant. Are you planning to take out the concrete and replace with asphalt?
Well, the driveway has moved now. The previous submittal the board has seen, we were basically trying to utilize the existing driveway. Since we got the feedback from the planning department, we had to move the entire house. So that driveway moved over 5 feet towards Cathedral Oak. So yes, now we have to remove it. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess alternatively, we could widen it if the board feels like it's okay to have excessively wide driveway. We could widen what's there, but we definitely have to move it towards Cathedral Oaks.
No, I think what my comment is that I think there should be a material change at the transition between the road and the driveway. I realize that that there's a financial consideration, but if there's any way to delineate that so that it's an odd condition where the roadway widens, and I think you're going to want some delineation so that cars aren't assuming the driveway is part of the public roadway in that intersection. Yeah. Yeah. Needs to be, yeah. Okay, I have no additional comments. This is here for further conceptual review.
Before the board sends us home, could somebody please comment in terms of the encroachment and maybe ask the planner and clarification on that and the replacement area on the site so we have that addressed?
The planner's not online? Oh, okay. Kiana, can you address what area we're... No, this is Kiana. So, or can the applicant clarify what location is requesting the modification?
Yeah, could you please go to our site plan, architectural site plan? Yes, thank you. So you see the shaded area on the right-hand side of the page. So this is where the existing house right now stands. Unfortunately, the existing house was built, I guess, per old setbacks where this lot was not considered a corner lot. Now we've received alternative information, or perhaps this area has been remapped where the lot now is considered a corner lot. So we were asking the planning department what we could do with that. And they said this is the extent of the encroachment you can do. And it would require replacement area, which is what you see in the red rectangular shape where nothing is being built or no development is proposed in the amount of same square footage as we're proposing to encroach and locate the house where the existing house is.
Sorry to interrupt, but can we go up 2 more sheets so that we can see the vicinity map with the neighbor? Oh, shoot. Okay. I was hoping we could see the adjacent neighbors, how they're...
They're about 10 feet away beyond our fence.
Yeah, where she's encroaching towards that. Okay. I'm going to request, since Kiana doesn't seem to be online, if she can send a planner memo when this comes back for preliminary. Does the board have any comments in support or of the modification?
It doesn't look like it's a real modification. It's a side yard trade.
Right.
It's an encroachment.
Hello?
So we just need to support the encroachment then?
Oh, Kiana.
Hi,
Kiana.
sorry. My mic seems to be having problems.
Okay, is the applicant requesting a formal modification, or is it different that it's just encroachment and offset?
Yeah, it's just an encroachment and the compensation area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does the board feel that they can support that? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so you have positive comments supporting that, but you don't require us to make a finding
Thank you.
because it's not a modification. Okay, and so this project can return, does the board feel on preliminary? Okay. Okay, we'll see you when we return. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And I have to recuse from the next item, and for some reason I was noticed for the final one, and I'm not sure why, because I just looked it up. It's not close to my house, but to cover myself, I think I'll.
Okay, so we'll review now the Bajash Family Trust Meeting Facility at 1210 Franklin Ranch Road in Goleta. And we've seen it on February 21st. We had some comments. Include photos of the site as part of the architectural presentation. The project is a departure from existing buildings on site. Project sit in deeper part of site and doesn't appear to obstruct view corridors. It's a large building, so anything that can be done to demonstrate that is well sited in terms of the surrounding neighborhood would be prudent. No concerns with neighborhood compatibility. D, the colors and materials are light. E, road is significant to design. Return with definite information, roof is significant to design. Return with definite information on roof design. Would appreciate seeing earth tones on the roof. Study darker roof colors and a zinc roof. Consider high quality metal standing seam roof. Study the roof pitch, a lower pitch for the lower roof. Consider fewer hips and switching to gables instead for a more architectural look. Document how exterior will be lit. Need to see dark sky compliant lighting. Consider integrating building into landscape. Return with further developed landscaping information if proposed. So your names for the
Hi, good morning. This is Louis Weiss, and we have Heidi Jones, our land use planner online, and we have Justin also from Arcadia.
Great. So who would like to start with the presentation?
I think we'll have Heidi start, who's online.
Okay.
Yes, good morning,
Good morning.
Vice Chair and board members. We're happy to be back with you. As you mentioned, we came before you for a concept review back in February. Since that time, we have further developed the project plans, including other disciplines, including civil engineering and landscaping, which we'll walk you through today. We also submitted our formal CUP application and have an incomplete letter with our planner. So we're working with planning and development, the fire department, et cetera, to work through those comments. There are aerial and site photographs in the file if you would like to review them as requested. Then I was also just going to mention, we are continuing to study the proposed lighting and photometrics as part of that planning approval. So that will evolve as we proceed through this process. And I'll pass it on to the team for the presentation. Here for any questions you have.
Great. Thank you.
Can we go back to the drawing set to page 17? You already had it up on the first tab, I think. Oh, yeah, there it is. I think Justin will address the landscape plan more specifically, but I think it's a good place to start just to talk about the context for the building on the site, which was a comment that came back from the last time that we were here. So as the plan is oriented east-west, and you can see the single-family dwelling on the left side of the sheet, which is existing, and the meeting facility being proposed is to the right, on slightly planned north of it, with new landscape that's been developed that we'll talk about a little bit later. And as you can see, just going south from the meeting facility, the locations for some of the existing equestrian facilities on the site We have some shed barns and an L-shaped equestrian facility around Penn, all of which have corrugated metal roofing, and then some smaller equestrian facilities up on the ridge just below it on the plan, that are kind of dotted throughout the landscape. And I think there was also a request to see some photographs of the buildings, and there is a separate PDF that we included that has some photographs of that. Yes, there's also a third PDF, if you can go back. Area photos. There we go. Yeah. Yes.
Keep going, yeah.
So you can see that the house, the existing single family dwelling is a Spanish colonial revival in style with typical clay tile roof, stucco exterior, wrought iron detailing, and as I mentioned, the equestrian structures are quite simple in nature, either open air or some have stucco exteriors with corrugated metal pitched roofs. These photographs here show the existing condition of the, if you go back, please, show the existing condition of the arena, the equestrian arena where the meeting facility is going to be located. And you can see that we're proposing that it's sited a little bit, the first third of the arena, like the northern portion of it. And the view that you're seeing now looks east towards an environmentally sensitive habitat, the boundaries of which the building and landscape will respect. And as you can see, on the following pages, the building is situated in a natural bowl on the site. So the building is nestled quite low with respect to the single family dwelling as well as other houses on the surrounding properties. If you can please skip ahead to the last sheet in the presentation, we've also taken some site sections to show the relationship of the meeting facility to some of those other buildings, some of the other single family dwellings on the surrounding properties, both of which in section 1 and section 3, you can see, section 1 and section 2, you can see that the houses are quite screened by vegetation relative to the meeting facility. If we go back just to the renderings of the building, we've addressed some of the previous comments about the roof color. And the color of the roof indexes both the exterior stucco color of the single family dwelling on the property, and as you can see more specifically on page 20, relates back to the color of the decomposed granite and earthen materials that form the pathways leading to the meeting facility from the south. Justin can speak more to the landscape. The roof material itself is being proposed as a high quality corrugated metal with 7/8 inch diameter corrugated pattern, giving the building a fine grain across the lower and upper registers of the roof. And the material speaks to the roofs of the neighboring equestrian structures on the site. So between the color of the roof and its material, it acts as an architectural bridge or link between the languages of the various buildings on the property. With respect to the previous S-bar comments on massing and gables, we've chosen to maintain the overall shape of the building, including the gabled ends of the roof. And we felt that eliminating these gables produced a more flattening effect, that the gables, at least in elevation, make the building actually appear a little bit smaller and reduces the bulk and scale. Whereas if the gables were not there, there would be a kind of flattening effect across the front, and we liked that it produces that effect. Right. So you can see this is the best image to talk about that if those gables were not there, then you would kind of just have a much more flat elevation. And we thought that the gables actually produce a kind of domesticity and small, a kind of a scaling effect to the building. And I think also what we felt is that there's a kind of there's a way in which actually even though it's a departure from a kind of from a vernacular style, that it actually bears a relationship to the Channel Islands, which this building kind of fronts directly. So it has a kind of broader link to the ecological context of the region. And now I'll hand it over to Justin to talk more specifically about the landscape.
Can you go to the first landscape sheet or the second landscape sheet in the set? I don't. All right. It's the next one from that.
18.
So being that the site is in this visual bowl, the aim of the landscape is to help nestle the structure and the rest of the site in this bowl. So the two larger tree symbols, the green and the kind of lime green, are oaks and sycamores. So sheet north, we've got the ash, which is native trees. So we're kind of letting that bleed into the site a bit. And we've also got a nod to the agricultural use of the site with a citrus orchard. The rest of the planting is sages and grasses and a lot of natives. And then to keep with kind of an informal feel, the site materials are either for the tan path, it's either a granitecrete or a gravel pave to keep it both informal and permeable. And then as you get to the main entry walk of the building, it's just stone bandings that interrupt that paving, and then low reflecting pools that emphasize the entry. Page north at the building corner, you'll see the blue line. That's the 50-foot esh buffer. So everything page north of that is the paths would be just mulch paths with no grading, and then all of the landscape is just going to be native. And then if you go to the next sheet, and we can actually skip to the last sheet, which is the plants. So the only trees we're using are just the native oaks and sycamores, as well as the citrus. And as I mentioned, grasses, sages, keeping it really rustic and informal. And then if you jump to the separate PDF of the renderings, I think it was slide 15 that we were just looking at. This as well as the next, oh, sorry. Yeah, you had it, slide 20. This one as well as the next one give a good sense of our aim for the informal nature of the landscape as it relates to the building. And that concludes the landscape.
Okay, so that concludes your presentation.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak?
We have no letters submitted and we have nobody in our attendees column.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. I made a comment the last time you were here, and it didn't make it into the minutes, but it was asking about high fire because you have so much exposed structure and big openings. Have you studied that and your structural members meet high fire?
Yes, I've started to look at that with my structural engineer. It's proposed as a hybrid steel and mass timber structure, and the mass timber elements would meet high fire severity standards. But the overhangs are still in development, and whether those end up being heavy timber elements or whether those end up being steel members is still to be developed.
Okay, yeah, because in the renderings, it doesn't look like it's there.
Yeah, it's yeah, still in development.
Okay, thanks.
Any questions? No? Any other questions? Okay, I have a question regarding the roof. What's the slope of the roof?
The slope is, I believe it's 4/12.
12. And you have a roof well. I wasn't aware of that last time, right? You
Sorry?
have a roof well. A roof well. Yeah.
Sorry, roof well?
Well,
I
yeah.
don't know that. I'm not familiar with that term.
Flat area for your mechanical, and then in the center of the house. That's what I saw in the.
There's yeah, maybe go to the roof plan. We don't, the mechanical is going to be located, all of our,
You have sections of the.
Sheet 5 is the roof plan.
5.
Yeah, well.
yeah, it's a pitched roof all around.
And so I saw that in the landscaping. I guess that was off, right? Well, anyway, there's no roof well. Okay.
Okay.
And okay, that's and the purpose of the lower roof, the first floor roof, is just for shade, or what's the you have a rather large roof on the first floor. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's useful to talk through the floor plan to understand that. If you go to the drawing set, we can look at the first floor plan and also the section. Maybe this section is better actually. So if you scroll up to the, no, that's the correct set, but if you scroll further up.
The roof.
Yeah, it's the floor. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I see why you were confused by that. If you go to the page. Yeah, so this is showing the lower level floor plan with the extent of the roof around it, and you know, the building serves to host gatherings of people of up to 15 people, and is going to be used on a daily basis as an office space. But as we know, given the climate and given the landscape plan, there's going to be a lot of informal meeting outside. And where do people like to work in Southern California in this ideal landscape is, you know, under a covered porch. And the design meets the basic programmatic requirements from the owner, but also gives a very generous gesture by providing this covered outdoor area that surrounds the entire lower area, which acts as a kind of portico where social gathering can happen. So that's really the function of the lower roof.
Section 9. There you go. 9.
Yeah. So you can see that, you know, it's an 8-foot overhang, which means that, you know, you can generously allow for all different kinds of furniture arrangements, people having informal gatherings.
Good. Okay, thank you. Any other questions on the board? Nope. Ready for comments? Yep. Okay, who wants?
Yeah, I'll start. He did.
Yeah.
I like this building very much. It's in the barn vernacular, but it's also a meeting space vernacular and heavy timber construction feeling. So I like very much the big roof lines and the lower roof breaking the facade, as well as providing that space for people to be outside. And in my mind, the key is going to be how you detail those eaves, those big eaves, to meet high fire and to have the aesthetic that you're showing in your renderings, which because it's really important part of the building that everybody's going to be looking at from underneath. Yeah. I think the sighting is good. And I think its relationship to the other buildings on the site is good. And I support it.
Yeah, I echo all those comments. I think I like the building, and I think it will be in the detailing that we'll be looking at it closely. But yeah, I think the siding is great. The added landscape is also, I think, going to add to it. So there's positive comments.
Yeah, I think that you guys did a nice job adequately addressing the landscape comments and setting this building within the landscape. Yeah, I think it's a really nice project and going to be a cool hub for these people.
I definitely think the project is well done. The siting, as we've heard, is appreciated and it's well sited, and as Keir said, well nestled into the landscape. Mass bulk and scale are fine. Compatibility with the neighborhood is fine. It's architectural style. I'm not sure I care at all about whether it's referential to the existing structures on the site. It stands alone as its own unique feature and does a pretty good job of holding its own. So it doesn't really, need to reference anything other than itself. I think it's a beautifully done building. It's a really nice piece of architecture. It presents from the exterior as very simple and straightforward kind of building. Within it is a very complex and dynamic programmatic kind of solution. So it's just really interesting that those two things are happening at the same time. It's a lot of complexity, how the spaces interact, and indoor, outdoor is kind of blurred, and then and then all of that kind of gets wrapped up into this nice, neat, clean, very direct kind of architectural treatment on the exterior. So I believe like walking up to this building would be an experience in and of itself, and then getting into it is a whole different experience. So I think, putting this in the context of a meeting space or a community space where people get inspired and make a difference in the world, it's like, it has a lot of potential to be a part of the conversation that goes on within it. It's going to do a lot of work for, I think, just the psychology of what it's like being in it. I think it's awesome. So well done. You don't get to see a lot of stuff like this here, and I'm really, I feel like I'm at college looking at a senior thesis here today. So well done.
Thank you.
Could you go to the landscape plan, please? I think it's page 18. Yeah, I agree with all the positive comments. I really like the way that the landscape design with the paving and the reflecting pond kind of feels like an expression of the building as it like unfolds into the landscape space outside of it. I had a question. The paths that wrap around kind of on Sheet North, where you have kind of these node spaces, are those intended as like gathering areas in the landscape?
Yes, just really small informal gathering area, not gathering areas, but just seating areas, and yeah.
So the intent will be whoever uses this will set up furniture out there and go and
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Like the intent would be that people would set up furniture or seating in those spaces.
Yeah, just
kind of around
couple seats or something out there.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's really neat how you've included that into the overall programming of the site, where you have kind of the more formal structuring of how you're going to be meeting in the building, and then that relates to what's happening in the landscape. I also like that that existing structure, the way that it was incorporated into the design with the orchard around it. So overall, it's a great plan, both architecturally and landscape design wise. So.
All right. Positive comments all around. So this project is up for preliminary approval. Is there a motion for that?
I'll make a motion for preliminary
second.
approval.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. So We'll see you next.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and next item is number 5, 1470 Camino Meleno, a HEP addition and accessory structures. And I see Mr. Borneo and company here. Good morning. So this is a request for the conceptual review of a 176 square foot addition to the existing structure, 850 square foot remodel, a new 434 square foot cabana, and a pool. And the following structures exist in the parcel. A two-story residence of 2,657 square feet with a 700 square foot attached to car garage. The project will require about 185 cubic yards of cut and 125 cubic yards of fill. The property is about half an acre, zone 1E1, and at 1470 Camino Meleno. So,
very good. I'm Tracy Brunel. I'm the architect for the project.
Mm.
Aaron Carroll, landscape architect for the project. And Jonathan, if you could zoom into the vicinity map in the lower right there. That gives you guys an idea of, you can't quite see 101 down at the bottom, but then you've got Cathedral Oaks going through. You go Patterson north of Cathedral Oaks, and then when you get on, Molino, you go all the way up to the top of the hill. So it's at the very top of the hill. The area and behind it's all a big ag property of avocado ranches and things. So if you could, let's go to the last page now. Sorry, I didn't plan this for your ease, Jonathan. And zoom in on the photo that's in the middle, all the way to the left. That middle row, but all the way to the left, yeah. Okay, so that gives you an idea. Our property is the one on the left. The street is at the bottom of the page. The ocean is off to the right. So you can see that it's a terraced lot. It's got a series of walls going down the hill. The neighbor house is off to the right. I'll be referencing that a little bit later, but everything on this hill, all the houses orient towards the ocean view for obvious reasons. So he has his garage on that side and his back of house area that faces our property. So you can see between the house and that first wall there's a strip of grass, and there's some planting. There are big bougainvilleas and things. So it's essentially, when you're in that house, all you get is that little strip of land. Everything down below is kind of non-existent. So you have to walk around and down to some fruit trees and things down there, but it's really not part of the property. So it's important to understand that. If we could, let's go up to the page above and zoom in on the photo in the middle row on the right. So that gives you a feel from the street. You come into the little driveway parking motor court. On the left, you see a roof coming down. There's a upper level music room. We're going to be putting a dormer, a split pitch dormer into that roof to create a little office space up there. The entry to the house is on the left side of the driveway. It's hard to see, but it's in the corner there. And what we're planning to do is fill that in, and we'll come in through the garden wall there on the right. And we're going to have an entry structure that we're adding on the south side of the house. There's currently a trellis there you can see that will be removed. So it'll be more or less in that spot. If you want to pan over to the left on those photos. So there's the entry a little more close up. The photo on the left is a better view of the garage roof. I think go up. Yeah, so if you zoom in a little bit over on the left there on that top row. Yeah, that's the garages there. The photo next to it is the south side with the trellis that comes out. The next photo is further to the south. And the original house was built in 1972. And then in, I think, 2003, that two-story addition was done in the back there. And it actually, you go up a few steps to get to the master bedroom, and then there's a loft area up above it. So it's a little bit odd the way the two forms relate, but that's the existing house. And then pan over to the right. And then that picture is the south-facing elevation of the two-story, and then the one on the right is the east-facing two-story, which is what we're gonna be adding a deck at the lower level and another one above it at the loft level. So now if we could go to the landscape plan, which I think is on page 7, and zoom in a little bit to the actual drawing there so we can see it a little bit better. All right, so the program here is there's a couple of additions to the main house. I talked about the new entry structure on the south side. There's also a trellis to the right of that will be shading the new doors. There's a big folding door into the living and dining spaces there. On the back side, you can see there's a little addition, about 3 feet being done just to expand the dining room so that it's more functional. And it has a split pitch roof over it that just incorporates into the main roof also. Then you'll see it on the right side, on the south side, there's a deck and a spa which are existing, and those are going to be redone so that, because right now you come out a bunch of steps out of the bedroom down to the deck. It's a little bit awkward. So we're going to raise that deck up to the same level, but it's essentially the same thing. And off to the right, you can see the decks that are being proposed off the master and the loft above. So the general idea, of course, with the house was to get what I've just described, but they also kind of brought Aaron in to get involved and try to get some more usable outdoor living space. And so that's where the concept came up. Right now, they have really nice views out of the house to the ocean. Off to that side on the left on the drawing, there's palm trees and things there. You know, there's views at 180 degrees on this site. You can't put anything out there without being in a view, but there are palm trees and things over there now. So it doesn't really, that's not a view they're keyed in on. So that's where the cabana is put out on that promontory there, where, you know, obviously it creates more covered, you know, we're calling it a cabana, but it's not a cabana in the sense of the land use code. It's really a covered gazebo. But we call it that because it's relating to the pool. So it makes a nice outdoor area out there and much more lawn area in between the house and the pool area. And the pool is sort of a hybrid between a real lap pool and a normal, larger usable pool. So it's sort of a modest size, but will still work to be in doing more than just laps, but it allows us to keep off the hill as much as we can. We've been in the planning process for a long time on this because there were questions about the hillside, and we had an incorrect survey that showed the grades steeper than they are. So we've gotten to a point now where we're planning is happy with what we're doing, that we meet the grading and land use codes. I think, why don't we go up to the first page again? Yeah, great. So there's a couple of things we've done. The main house is really at the top of the hill. The hill goes up a little bit beyond it, but so in terms of being on the hillside, we're already kind of coming down the hill in terms of the locations of those outside elements. And the grade goes down along the left side of the cabana. We're basically not really doing any grading over there except to fix a couple of the improvements that need to come out. There's a railroad tie stair there that we need to take out. So it comes down, and the ADU is down below it. So it basically comes out right at grade, at the existing grade. So it works pretty nicely with the existing hill. And you can see that the pool comes along and it's got an infinity edge. So that drops off about 4 feet of the waterfall. And then there's the receiving pool there, which is about 4 feet above the grade. So we're making up that drop in the land and trying to keep everything at 4 feet, stepping, terracing up. Off to the right, of the pool, you can see there are kind of, what would you call those stone walls? They're not.
Oh, dry stack walls.
Yeah, there you go. You got dry stack walls. So we come up 4 feet to the first wall, then to the second wall, and there's a seating area off to the right of the pool that, because of the way we've set this up, won't have to have a rail, which would be nice. You can sit out there and just see directly out. and the path off to the right comes up the slope. There is a wall between the cabana and the pool that gets us down that 8 feet, but that's where the stair comes down and switches back against that. So we're really trying to mitigate the hillside ridgeline, directives to not have any tall walls or any understories or anything like that. So I think we've been able to do a pretty good job of doing that. The neighbor down to the south that I referenced in that aerial photo has written an email that was sent to all you guys. We didn't get it out till last night, I think, or something. So you may not have seen it, but he's very much in favor of this. He's, his house orients to the south. He says he hasn't really had any views of anything to the north for a long, long time because of the house and the landscaping up there. So he thinks that the waterfall edge and this open cabana and the things that we're doing are going to be much nicer for him to see. And he's particularly excited about the fact that in doing this work, we're going to need to deal with the drainage issues up there, which are significant for him. He's had flooding and water comes off our lot onto his. And so, he asked, well, would you be willing to work on that? And yeah, the civil's going to want to. They don't want anything to do with our water going on your lot. So if you see his email, you'll see he's very much in favor of the project. Let's go down to the next page. This just shows the extent of the grading. I don't think we need to go through it too much. Off to the left there, it looks like there's a big area of grading, but really that's about 1 foot of cut. It just goes from where it daylights to keeping that path up at the same level, but it's only cutting about 1 foot out of there. This is an analysis of the slope. So the red hatch is 20 to 30% slope. The green is above 30. So you can see we're really not on anything that's over those slopes except for one tiny area in the corner of the cabana there. Go down to the next one. If just zoom in on the top section, I'm not going to spend time on these, but you can get close enough so they can just kind of see. That's through the cabana. You can see the existing terrace walls. They're being taken out and the ones that remain to the left. Go ahead down to the next one. That's between the cabana and the pool. So you can see the new kind of flat usable area that's being put in there. And that's where the stair is, the switchback. So there's a bit of fill there to create that area. And the one down below just shows where the pool is. So the floor plan, go ahead and zoom in on the floor plan of the main house, upper right there. So you can see the entry there on the left. We're filling that in. It becomes part of the kitchen. You come around on the south side, we have the new entry pavilion. There's no additional footage there. It's just a covered roof and the trellis that goes off to the right. Adding the new folding the door into the living room to really get an indoor-outdoor feel. And in the back, there's a little addition that creates the dining room. Right now when you come in the entry, you kind of walk into the table. There's not enough room. So that allows that to work better. And we'll probably do it'll have a vaulted ceiling with some exposed beams and a lot of glass to a rear deck that's being added back there. And you can see the decks off to the right there, off the master and the loft above. So go ahead down to the second floor. Yep, keep going. There you go. So again, you can see the loft and the deck on the right. On the left, that's the stairs that go up to this music room, and you can see we're adding the study or office area using that dormer. If you pan off to the left, you can see the roof plan up above there. You can see the dormer there, the entry roof, the trellis, and the roof on the rear. By doing the split pitch on the rear, it just nestles into the existing roof. You'll never be able to see it. It's just a subtle way to get that covered and not make it more complicated than it needs to be. All right, so go up to the upper right to the main house. A little closer in just that one elevation. So you can see the entry. It's an open beam structure. The house now has T111 as the siding. So we're gonna do a hardy product board and bat. The roof will stay as is. It's a kind of a composite tile. And you can see the little dormer, split pitch dormer off to the left over the garage and the decks off to the right. If you pan off to the left, that's the view from the street. You can see the split pitch dormer over the garage and the entry to the right. Go ahead down. And that's the east end where we're adding the deck below and the deck above. And you can see the proportions of it are a little bit odd. It's because the existing house has a 6'6" plate up there. So there's a low plate over that loft area. And so that's why it seems like the deck is kind of high, but that's where the finished floor is. And then pan off to the right. And so that's the back side. It's all mostly existing, but you can see the addition for the dining room there. It just kind of fits in pretty easily. All right, go ahead and pan down to the plan for the cabana and the ADU. So you can see the cabana is just, go back off to the right a little bit so we can see the floor plan. So the cabana is really simple. It just has a stone wall and with a fireplace. It'll have a counter and like a sink and a under counter fridge, just a little entertainment space off the pool. And you see the stairs switch back down to the ADU down below, which is very simple, a little studio ADU. It also will have access off to the left is where the street is. So you would be able to park on the street and come through a path to get to that. If it's a kind of a nice guest setup where they can get to the outdoor living spaces easily, but are separate and can get to it separately from the house. Yeah, that's good. Go ahead and pan off to that south elevation there, the cabana. A little bit more to the left so we can see that hall. There you go. So we like the idea of kind of switching the style a little bit. You can see this really picks up on the palm trees, and these people go to Hawaii a lot and like Hawaii. So they really like, the idea that that looks like a more tropical cabana with a standing seam roof. It has the wood post, the wood rail, and we'll put stone around the lower level, which is also around the wall at the back there. And that wall at the back, it has existing palm trees that'll be between the cabana and the existing driveway parking area. And pan off to the left a little more. So that's the view as you, what happened to my PDFs? They're all janky there. As you see it from the street, the grade follows it down as you go down to the ADU, and you have a window there on that side. And then there's, pan out a little bit, there's one more shot, I guess, of the view from down below there. That's from the motor court looking at the back of it. And I think that pretty much covers it. Why don't we go back to the page 7 with the landscape plan, and Aaron can walk you through a couple of his thoughts on that.
Yeah. So we got 2 driveways that are to remain in place. Those are pavers. One's the main motor court area, and the other one's on the back of a house there. And then we're adding a little entry trellis as you approach the front door from the motor court. And then that leads you into where we're doing the pool and an expanded lawn area south of the house. We're utilizing the dry stack stone walls on the west side of the ADU and also on the east side of the pool to terrace the grade so we don't have any steep slopes coming down to the ADU from the pool level. And then we've got gravel walkways connecting all the exterior spaces. The only tree removals required for this project are going to be a few fruit trees and pygmy date palms, which are kind of south of the new pool. And we'll be replacing those fruit trees with new ones as well in that area. There's a fire pit on the east side of the pool. Landscape lighting will be just path lights and riser lights recessed into the stair risers, and that's the extent of the landscape lighting. So all be shielded dark sky. As Tracy mentioned, this site is surrounded by avocado orchards, so we have pretty good screening on the north and the west side. Actually, all 3 sides we have pretty good screening. there's a lot of existing palm trees on this site, which are mostly slated to remain. We are in a high fire area. So we can't plant any plantings within 5 feet of any structures. The owners will probably landscape that, but as far as my plan is concerned, I'm not showing any landscaping in that area. As far as the plant selections, it's kind of a mix of subtropical and flowering Mediterranean shrubs, depending on where you are on the site. We've got a lot of existing palm trees in the front, so that's going to be a little more subtropical in nature. And then as we go off to east of the pool, more of a flowering shrub, butterfly bird garden over there. And then new fruit trees south of the pool, and also a screen hedge along the south property line to enhance the screening down there. I think that covers most of the landscape, and I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up. Thanks.
One thing I might just point out to you guys, because if you're looking at this plan, if you see on the lower right, kind of when you go past the colored areas, it's a little odd, right? That the retaining walls go off our site and come across. And so we're not sure how that went down, but they're not on our site. So you can see that we've got a wall that goes along the property line on the right and then across the bottom a little bit. It has to cut those off because we can't really go deal with anything on a different property. So we're keeping a couple of them in the lower areas. We're removing them a couple up above, but when they go off site, we just have to kind of ignore them. But it makes for an odd looking plan.
It was the wild 70s.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Any questions from the board? No? No questions? Any public comment on this matter?
We have no letters. I'm sorry, we have nobody signed up for public comment. We do have the one email that we arrived late. But other than that, we have no other people signed up.
Very good. Okay, so we start with comments from this side.
Okay. I think this is a very well done rehabilitation of the wild 70s. Architecturally, this is a great upgrade without completely demolishing the existing structure. It's really impressive. I think your site design is thoughtful. I think the landscaping looks good. The way you're dealing with those tiered walls, which are bizarre, is great. You're really trying to work with them and enhance them. And yeah, I think it's a really nicely done solution to an older building.
Yeah, I echo the same positive comments. I like the relocation of the entry into the house. I think that's really nice and very successful. I also think the cabana and the pool area and just the use of the site is a really nice enhancement to the property.
Yeah.
Could we just flip to the elevations quick? Yeah, I agree. I think this is a really beautifully done project. I kind of was thinking at first it was like more Hawaiian looking, which is kind of a nice feature. I guess I think one comment is just for the landscape and as well as the architecture, it'd be nice to have like what's existing. I think that was part of the reason it was a little hard to understand it looks like there's very minimal additions being proposed. So I think the project just looks bigger than it may be. But with the landscape plan, it seems like we're touching a lot of the property. And I think it's hard to understand what's existing and what's remaining to what's being proposed. But overall, I think it's a nice landscape plan. I think it would be for the next meeting, preliminary grading plan would be important. I think you mentioned the neighbor to the south. A lot of the square footage is being touched, of course, and you guys are probably going to be tier 1, I would imagine. because I think you guys have a lot of existing hardscape and you guys aren't really proposing much new roof or anything like that. So you may not understand that. It'd just be good to see how you guys are addressing drainage to that point, because there's a lot of hardscape being proposed, additional hardscape being proposed above there. Yeah, I think those are my comments, but overall, really a nice project.
Hi, I'm Gwen here. I'm filling in for Joe because he had to leave. Your comment on the landscape and architecture was just kind of quiet. Could you just reiterate that for me to put in the notes?
Yeah, architecture really nicely done, and the landscape as well. I think just returning with a preliminary grading and drainage plan. And then I think I would add actually too, it's a little difficult to understand kind of the property lines, what's happening with screening, and I don't think it was touched on about hedging and neighbor screening. I don't know if that's something we could.
I did touch on that. There's a new hedge proposed on the south property line.
On the south, okay.
The neighbor, yeah.
East and north, we're okay.
And it turns the corner on the east and west side as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for clarifying.
Mr. Blumer.
The project's very compatible with the neighborhood. It's very appropriately and well cited. Architectural style is appreciated and very compatible with the neighborhood. And it's a nice architectural style, well detailed, very well treated, upgrade as we've heard. So I agree with all previous comments. Mass bulk and scale is great. Ours Fine. This is a project that probably could have gone in the direction of like a side-loaded building, and it doesn't, just the way you've played with the verticality of the finishes and the detailing. I think it all somehow works, and it's well orchestrated. So it's a very nice, very complete and comprehensive project. So very supportable and very well done.
Mr. Richards.
Yeah, I agree with all the positive comments. Seems like the architecture and the landscape architecture really fit together well here. I mean, it must have been very collaborative between you two. And I love the solution of how the ADU and the cabana, they're stacked above each other. And then the way that the pool integrates into the existing slope, it all seems very well put together. In working with what was kind of an awkward space existing there. And I have to commend Aaron on having probably the most detailed preliminary landscape plans that I see come through here. So I think the project is well presented here and well thought through and should proceed. So
Very good. So we have a good design, well presented, so ready to go. So I guess we'll schedule this for preliminary and maybe final if you're ambitious and you think there are going to be no issues. Okay.
Seems like it could be preliminary final.
Yeah.
Full board, but
We're ambitious.
You're ambitious. Okay. Very good. Okay. See you next time.
yeah, you could have put your existing and proposed elevations side by side, which would have shown even more how well you've done it.
Yeah, I think the comment some people make it the existing lighter and the new proposed darker. It's a little bit difficult to see. Maybe the building department may be more confused perhaps. So I think you may want to clarify that.
Mr. Chair, one more comment. When you come back next time, add a little color palette to the drawings or materials palette, and be sure to cover the dark sky compliant lighting on the exterior.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is the last item.